What's up, everybody? Joe White here, and wanted to record this little video here, my short little AEW Dynamite review for the episode that aired on March 31st, 2021. Took some notes here, so if you see me glancing down, I'm looking at the old telephone notes. Once again, they showed a movie beforehand. They showed Shooter with Mark Wahlberg and Michael Pena on there, and Danny Glover. Good movie. Again, I still think they ought to be showing last week's Dynamite as a lead-in. Show opened up with Christian versus Frankie Kazarian, and Kazarian pretty much got the upper hand for most of the match. JR mentions the ring rust aspect of Christian Cage, in which I said that maybe they should have had a match with him on Dark last week, or this week, I should say, to get the ring rust off of Christian, and mention that, but they didn't. Slow paced. It's almost as if this was a WWE style match, which was a refreshing thing to see on AEW Dynamite. The gimmick fans suck. They just sucked during this match. The whole deal of, oh, hey, when they tied up each and every fucking time. It's like, do we need that each and every time? Who's the marks here, people? Who are the marks? Kaz with a crossface chicken wing. Have not seen that in a while. Glad to see that here. The botch on the kill switch reverse, but they kept it together and they kept going. That's a sign of veterans in the business who know how to call stuff on the fly, and that when something goes wrong, they just don't freeze up and go, oh my God, what do we do now? Chicken wing again by Kaz is awesome. A springboard leg drop by Kaz was great. The flux capacitor by Kaz is always great. Frankie Kazarian getting a lot in this match. The frog splash by Cage was good. Very good match here. I enjoyed this match. You cannot hear Justin Roberts when he announces the time. 5 minutes. 5 minutes elapsed. 5 minutes remain. You can't hear that, and we need to hear that at home. And finally, we get Christian Cage hitting the kill switch for the win. Again, very good match. I like this opening segment. Good opener. Good way to get the crowd, if there were a crowd, fired up. We get a Darby Allin and Sting promo. Pretty much the same shit that Darby always does. Talking about Big Money Matt. He calls him out and says money can't buy friends. Money doesn't mean shit to him, blah, blah, blah. It's a decent promo, but it's like, man, it's more of the same from Darby Allin. We get a Jade Cargill promo, and this is the same exact promo that they aired last week. I'm that bitch, blah, blah, blah. The Nightmare Factory surround the ring for the exhibition match here. And I'm calling this Oh Faction, My Faction, after the old promo, or after the old poem, Oh Captain, My Captain. And it's just, you'll see why here. Nightmare Factory surround the ring for the exhibition match. I'm sitting there going, who the fuck is that guy in the white coat? The entire time I'm sitting there doing that. QT was already in the ring. He didn't get an entrance. Cody was in a sling last week. Now all of a sudden his shoulder's better and he's putting that tape on it. Unsanctioned. This is unsanctioned here, so this doesn't count. QT Marshall. Is it Marshall or Marshall? The announcers, one of the announcers said Marshall, the other one said Marshall. It's Marshall. QT's facial expressions are really good during this match. The crisscrossing that they did, that's a pet peeve of mine. It's a big pet peeve of mine. Do we need that in wrestling at all? It makes no sense. No matter who's doing it or why they're doing it, it makes no sense why doing them just doesn't stop. It was kind of Game of Thrones style, as I said, on Cody's part, where if you go back and listen to the AC, the Cool Truth podcast with AC and Whitehouse last week, I talked about how Game of Thrones, whenever they do like a practice battle or even any battle in a medieval movie, they're practicing, and then the guy who gets the upper hand holds the knife to the throat but doesn't go through. It's a scrimmage. It's a practice, and that's exactly what this was here on Cody's part. The picture-in-picture featured a Tide ad with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mr. T, and Ice-T. I liked it. We didn't get a WWE on Peacock ad before we come back, right before we came back from the break. At least that's the way it was in my area. I don't know how it was in y'all's, but I'm assuming that everybody gets the same ads while we're in picture-in-picture mode. Cody then takes the weight belt off. Figure 4 leg lock by Cody, but he lets go. The crossroads, but he lets go. JR says QT cannot out-wrestle Cody. That's kind of putting down, and the way he said it kind of put down QT Marshall. See, now I'm saying Marshall here. QT then nails Arn out of nowhere. The match stops. QT sitting there looking like, what have I done? And then you got, Aaron Solo, Anthony Ogogo, and Camarada on there. They turn on Cody. These are three guys that we really haven't seen before. Once again, unless you've watched Dark, I'm assuming. I didn't know who these guys were. I'm sitting here going, who's the big bastard in the white coat? Looks like he ought to be with Butcher and the Blade. I didn't know he was part of this Nightmare Factory. Now they went from the Nightmare Family to the Nightmare Factory. I just don't get this. I don't get these people popping up out of nowhere to where Excalibur each and every time has to explain who they are to us. Yet another faction. We got the Dark Order. We got, we used to have the Elite, but they're not the Elite anymore. We got the Dark Order. We got this QT faction. We got, the Matt Hardy deal. You got all these factions. The best friends are a faction. I consider anything over two people a three or more is a faction. Everyone can make the argument, well, no, Joe White. If you're three people, you're just a trios. No, I'm sorry. No. Cody's bleeding. QT power drives Dustin on the steps, which Dustin is then bleeding. I didn't buy this. I didn't buy these guys as a big time powerful faction because it's made up of jobbers. And I know the deal is that the jobbers are sick and tired of carrying the weight, and the jobbers are sick and tired of towing the line for Cody, and they want some respect. It's the old Nexus angle. Commentary was selling it well. Red Velvet comes in, makes the save for Cody right before Cody's about to get blasted onto the steps. And this new faction with QT Marshall and Anthony Ogogo and Aaron Solo and whoever the big bastard is, they just go away. And I love how Dr. Samson is always at ringside, but Red Velvet's sitting there hollering, get me a doctor, get me a doctor. Where's Samson? Ethan Page promo here. I like, we have a Scorpio Sky promo. Says he and Ethan Page are going to team up. It pretty much was just about the same thing that they did last week. Velvet is back there with Dasha. Jade attacks Velvet. See, I'm yawning. That's how boring this show was at times. Velvet attacks Velvet attacks Jade Cargill. Excuse me. Golly, I cannot read. Jade Cargill attacks Velvet. Laser Out says, I told you I'm that bitch. I like that. I like it. We're getting more factions here. So, is Red Velvet now with the Nightmare Factory? And is Jade Cargill with this new group? Are they trying to be like New Japan here, where everybody's got to belong somewhere? Nobody can be a lone wolf? Reminded me of WCW back in the day. You were either with WCW, the NWO Red, NWO Black and White. You had the LWO. You had the freaking Ravens Flock. You had the Four Horsemen. Everybody had to be a part of a group. Then we get a Jon Moxley promo. He's typical, doing that swagger thing with his stupid shoulders. I hate that with him. It's like, dude, we get it. We get it. You're footloose, fancy free, and crazy. Okay? You don't have to keep throwing your shoulder back. One day he's going to tear his rotator cuff doing that shit. Mox versus Cesar Bononi. Bononi has people with him too. Can nobody come out to the ring alone anymore? Good stuff happened. All the good stuff of the match happened in picture-in-picture mode. JR talking about Benoni, or talking about one of the people at ringside with Benoni with the football crap. I'm sorry, I don't give two shits about who played what at such and such state, who grabbed their tight end and hutted their balls. I don't care about football. I don't care about what anybody did in football. I just don't care. Stop. Moxley gave Benoni a lot in the match. Again, Benoni impresses me. Mox wins after a referee stoppage. Interesting to see Moxley using submissions here. Team Taz, he says everything's fine. Starks and Cage kind of argue a little bit. Obviously, not everything's fine. I wish they, they're going to slow burn this as they should. But anyway. MJF. Now here's where this is the segment that I liked. It's the best thing on the show in my opinion. It's not saying a lot for the show, but it was the best thing on the show. MJF's gift for the Pinnacle. They're back in their locker room, or the Inner Circle's locker room. Why did my desk just all of a sudden just go crazy like that? Anyway. He says the locker room's a dump. We're going to get an interior decorator for the locker room. And we're gonna get a stylist for everybody, and we're gonna get it's not what I expected, but it was good. And he goes, I spent a lot of money and all this and that, and he goes, we're finally gonna have enough money to remodel this dump of a bathroom because the locker room's got a bathroom attached to it. So he opens the bathroom, and there's Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Santana Ortiz, proud and powerful there. And he shuts the door. And he's like, we got to go. And when everybody starts to leave, Hager's there at the locker room door, and the beatdown commences. I liked the fact that Sammy shut Spears in the door. Hager puts Wardlow through a massage table. Santana and Ortiz puts FTR. One of them goes into the ice bath. Dax bleeds like crazy. You even had Tully Blanchard is down. This reminded me of Impact, where you had that time that you opened it up, and Cornette's talked about what a bitch it was to really book and lay out. You had that brawl with, it's like 32 people in 30 different locations. Sorry, guys. There we go. My microphone cord was all messed up. But you had 32 people in 3 different locations, and it looked like a big cluster, but this was very well done. You could tell it was a pre-tape. Or may not have been entirely a pre-tape, but anyway, you had the beat down here. Y2J puts MJF's head in the toilet in the bathroom. I put here that he gave him a swirly, but it's not really a swirly unless you flush the toilet. I like how MJF came up from the toilet and spit toilet water out of his mouth. I thought that was great. Now, if WWE were to do something like this, even if they treated it seriously, we'd get, there's Vince McMahon and his toilet humor. Stupid Vince. Anyway, Y2J says the worst is yet to come, and he throws him head first through the glass of the Pepsi cooler, and then pours the bubbly on him, throws him out of the locker room. And then we get Marvez. Very well done. The only thing that I would have done differently, obviously, if you listen to that show that I did with AC and White House, I'll link it down below. It's where we covered last week's Dynamite. Excuse me. Is this comeback by the Inner Circle happened too soon. Way too soon. You could have had MJF and his crew, the Pinnacle. That's obviously the War Games match that they're building towards. Unless they're building toward the Night Family versus QT's faction, which, no, thank you. Give me Inner Circle versus Pinnacle in a War Games, please. Unless you're going to have 2 War Games matches. But I think this happened way too soon. As I said on that other podcast I did with AC and them, and White House, you could have gotten at least 6 months to a year out of this, or at least you could have stretched it until fans, proper fans, were being brung back. But if you're going to go ahead and pull the trigger now, I think this was the way to do it. Marvez is with the Bucks. Bucks say they want no more dirty laundry. Don Callis comes up. He singles out Matt. He says that, Matt has no loyalty. Kenny left New Japan for you guys. He didn't leave for the money. He could have stayed where he was and been living comfortably. Matt's getting more and more fired up. Finally, Don is like, you have no spine. You have no fire. He slaps Matt. Matt grabs Don by the throat, lets him go. Matt, Don Callis goes, you know what? You're fucking spineless. You have no moxie. You're spineless. You're a coward, basically. And it was a good deal. Good segment. Good promo. Getting the Bucks fired up here. Then you get the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid versus Omega and the Good Brothers. They used Omega's Titantron, but the Good Brothers' music. And this is where I checked out. This is where I checked out right here. Again, this crap of, the guy is going to dive off the top rope, or the guy's going to dive off the top turnbuckle. And the people that are receiving the move just look at him like, here I am. Dive on me. I'm ready to catch you. Who cares if people are watching and we're supposed to make this look real? Come on. Okay, I'm ready. Twice that happened in this match, at least. The triple splash thing was stupid. I hated it. The leapfrogging deal, it just, with the Young Bucks and Omega, I hated it. Glad, the fake marks are booing Omega. I like this. And then they advertised the house show again. Why is this house show not on BR Live? That's what I'd like to know. Obviously, this is being held because they know fans are flocking to the Tampa Bay area, to Florida. Why are they not putting this on BR Live as a special deal, like a one night only type thing? Anyway, again, HBO Max, you could throw it on there live, or BR Live, I put here, as far as the match goes, Callis is good on hot commentary. The match carried on way too long, but everybody's got to get, this is one of those things where everybody's got to get their shit in, One Winged Angel for the win on Laredo Kid. Mox come out, the Bucks come out, they chase away the Lucha Brothers and Omega, so it's obviously that the Young Bucks are officially with Jon Moxley. I put here, are the Bucks eventually going to turn on Moxley to get rid of Moxley once and for all? I'm liking the long feud between Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega. A lot of people are sick of it. I'm not. I think they have good matches. However, the barbed wire thing was supposed to be a blow-off. Then again, in wrestling, is there really such thing as a blow match anymore? Really? But I'm liking the long feud. It's been a while since we saw a long, continuous feud between two guys in the pro wrestling business. We get a Britt Baker promo. She says the win, you beat me, but what does it matter? It doesn't count towards your record. Well, records don't mean shit anyway in this company. It's like it's never happened. It's not on the record books. You didn't beat me. At least when people look at basically the gist of it was it didn't count, which is something that a heel would say, but you're referencing records and it don't matter in the first place. You just basically said, we a record. It's not on the record. Who cares? Well, who cares about the records anyway? Nyla Rose and the Bunny versus Ty Conti and Sheeta. Meh. At least it's nice to see the Bunny wrestle, but you could tell she needs ring time. You could tell she needs a few more matches on Dark. She should not be on Dynamite right now. Hardy comes out. We get a Matt Hardy promo. Again, factions. There's no, it's so crazy. Everybody's got to be out there ringside. Ty Conti and Sheeta come out with the Dark Order. Golly. Oh, faction, my faction. I fractured my faction. Anyway. Decent match. Allie needs more mat time. Dark Order attacks Hardy for no reason. Unnecessary dive into the corner. There's an unnecessary dive into the Dark Order at this point. The Bunny gets the win with the down the rabbit hole. If this is the match where you want to go get your snacks, go ahead. The Jurassic Express promo on Bear Country. My 11-year-old son, he doesn't watch the Wednesday night shows. He could care less about them. So what does that tell you guys? And then he walks in during this segment, and every time my son is 11 years old, and every time he sees Marco Stunt, he gets pissed off. Every single time he sees Marco Stunt, he gets pissed off. Because he says, Dad, I can beat him up. His exact words were, go back to first grade, you freaking midget. It's exactly what my 11-year-old said. And he sounds like a kid. Have you heard his voice? He sounds like his balls haven't dropped. Miro and Kip versus the Best Friends. They have a Mortal Kombat case there. They have Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 2. A little bit of movie promotion going on there by TNT. There is a Mortal Kombat movie coming up in which it's on HBO Max, and the parent company of TNT and HBO, Warner Brothers, well, actually their parent company is AT&T, but anyway, Warner Brothers is putting out a new Mortal Kombat movie here in a few weeks. Again, though, they don't mention it. They don't mention the HBO Max. They could have, TNT could have said, hey, plug the movie, plug our movie. Just another hardcore match here that did not have Chucky comes off the Mortal Kombat scene, but this is the last time like a video game cabinet would be used until the end of the match. They said Arcade Mayhem or whatever this is. They didn't use any arcade games. They used air hockey table and the whack-a-mole, which were clearly constructed by AEW. They had Pac-Man, they had Primal Rage there, they had all these arcade cabinets, and they weren't used. In fact, the extras were sitting there playing on them while the match is going on. What the fuck? They dumped the gimmick table that they had set up to look like a carnival prize table, like you would see at Chuck E. Cheese, onto Miro. No use of video games here. They bring a stuffed bear into the ring that has Legos inside of it. Now, yes, if you're a parent, you know how it feels to step on Legos. They hurt. However, they have no business in a fucking wrestling match. This was stupid. I hated it. Tony Schiavone's like, I remember Legos from the 90s when I had all these brats, my 5 brats running around the house. Yeah, Legos were big in the 90s, and we're using them now. Right. Anyway, Chucky T is powerbombed onto the Legos. Penelope Ford pulls Aubrey Edwards out of the ring. I'm finally glad to see somebody actually, as bad as it sounds, put their hands on Aubrey Edwards. It shows you that female referees are not infallible. So I like that here. Chris Statlander comes up out of the claw machine. Again, another constructed AEW prop that was used. I know people going out there, well, Joe, they can't blow people up, and they can't actually use arcade cabinets in here. Bullshit. It's what you advertised. Bullshit. Don't advertise something you can't deliver. Once again, here we go. You can't deliver it. By the way, at the end of this episode, we got a guest announcement. How about that? So they end up putting Penelope Ford through the air hockey table. Statlander did. Again, proving Jim Cornette's point. If you come out of a box, you're over. Statlander came back, returned by coming out of a box. She's over. I've always liked Chris Statlander, but she's over now because she came out of a box. all of a sudden, Sue, the mother of Trent, shows up. Again, she's now at it, and Trent returns. The Mortal Kombat 2 is a fake cabinet because over the screen they had a piece of paper that said tokens on it. We get a running power slam through the stage. Again, they're using these tables that are set up like staging with airbags. I don't like it. Best Friends get the win, and again, we have now another. I mean, the Best Friends were always a faction, but you now have Statlander added to it. So there's my AEW review. I did not think the show was that good. The high point was the Pinnacle versus Inner Circle beatdown, which needed to be held off for at least a few more months until we could pack inside of Daly's place. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have right here. We're going on here about 26 minutes. Want to remind you guys, I do have a playlist up right now. I'm playing through StarCraft. That's right, the original StarCraft for the PC, the first-person strategy game. Yes, the episodes are long. Yes, the missions are long. Yes, I make mistakes, but feel free to leave your comment. There's a playlist up on the channel right now, and I'll put that in the end screen. Also, we have a special guest joining me this Saturday. I'm going to be filming or recording a podcast with Jim Fix, a.k.a. Fillmore, from the Quite Frankly podcast. And if you've never heard about the Quite Frankly podcast, they cover all things Howard Stern, from the past to the present to the future, kind of going over what has happened to the Howard Stern show over the years and how Howard came to be woke as he is. They kind of pick apart Howard Stern. They don't bash it because there are some good things that they do point out. But if you go over and just search for Quite Frankly Howard Stern on the internet, you'll find them. I will have like I said, we'll have that podcast up. I'm recording it Saturday morning. So I will be putting that up as soon as that is finished. And again, check out that StarCraft playlist. Check out all of the other videos here on the site. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. That way you're notified every time we go live or when I post a video. And we will see you down the road.